Guys, there are already people saying that the Rudy Gobert trade might go down as one of the worst trades in modern NBA history. Now, while that might be hyperbole, let me remind you guys that there have been some very bad trades that have gone down in modern NBA history. For example, how many of you guys remember the Clippers sliding Baron Davis to the Cavs in a salary dump that had an unprotected first round pick attached? Do you guys want to know who that first round pick ended up becoming? Yeah, only one of the most creative and talented offensive players that the game has ever seen. That unprotected first round pick would become Kyrie Irving, who would actually be the first pick in the 2011 NBA draft. Regardless of how you feel about Kyrie Irving, the talent is undeniable, and so is the fact that the trade was an absolute steal for the Cleveland Cavaliers. What's wild is, I don't think that's really even that close to being the worst trade. There was also that whole Nets and Celtics trade. You know what, guys? The more that I think about it, the more that I really do realize that there have been some abysmal trades in the NBA. In the comments below, let me know some of the biggest fleeces that you guys could think of just off of the top of your head. Now, before we continue, we have to talk about the sponsor of today's content, PrizePicks. I've been having a ton of fun on PrizePicks this season, and I want you guys to also. PrizePicks is capable of making just your regular Monday night NBA game 40 times more interesting. PrizePicks is super simple. It's just you against the projections available. You just go out and you pick 2 to 6 players from any sport, and then you select if those players will go out and score more or less than their projection. What's boss is that you can win up to 25 times your money with any entry. With PrizePicks, you don't have to risk a lot to test your knowledge. As you can see, I'm doing really simple entries for only $5. Go ahead and click the link in the description to download PrizePicks today to play daily fantasy sports with us. Also, make sure to use promo code COOP when you sign up so you can get that deposit instantly matched. The fact that the Minnesota Timberwolves heard Anthony Edwards say this,
I think he was in people's heads, like just he wasn't even blocking shots for real all day. I think he was just people was just going to the rim and was just like, oh, they got Rudy Gobert. You know what I'm saying? I'm telling them like, bro, he's the same as anybody else, bro. Like to me, the best rim protector in the league is Porzingis. Like anytime I go against Porzingis, I don't get no layups. Like you know what I'm saying? So like, I don't get why we couldn't finish on Rudy Gobert, but don't put no fear in my heart. I mean. Yeah, I don't know why.
And then still thought it was the move to trade for Rudy Gobert is interesting to say the least. Now, while some of the memes are funny, the worst part about this Rudy Gobert madness is that he's nowhere near as bad as all of this negativity suggests. Now, I'm not saying that he's the greatest Timberwolf of all time or anything like that, or even that he's been good this season, but let's be real. This situation is magnified by him being a bad fit, overpaid, and the Wolves flat out being bad altogether and refusing to show signs of life. Yeah, just go ahead and stop me if you guys have heard this one before. When you're going out there and losing to one of the worst teams in the NBA and the Detroit Pistons amid a nasty losing streak, your problems might just be a bit bigger than Rudy Gobert. But at the same time, your problems will also make you remember what you traded for Rudy Gobert. To make this whole Gobert debacle even worse, before their very recent massive win against the Nuggets, they hadn't won a game with Gobert in the lineup since December 9th. Shout out to Michael Gallagher for pointing out that bit of information. To take things a step further, this team is only 12-19 when Rudy Gobert plays. If I see a 12-19 team, I'm assuming that they're going for Wembanyama and not trying to win an NBA championship. All while all of this is going on, Rudy is out here saying things like this. The average fan might not understand what I bring to the table, but the GMs in the league do. A lot of people celebrate my failures. It's kind of like a mark of respect for me, just to have people that just wait until I do something wrong or until my teams start losing. I'll agree that Rudy is overhated and actually has been for a while, but when you're getting outplayed by a rookie center on a 2-way contract in Miami, you become that much harder to defend, no pun intended. Shout out to Orlando Robinson. That 15-point, 9-rebound game in which he went 7 of 9 from the field showcased a lot of hunger and a lot of potential. And also, shout out to Miami's scouting department. This team is so good at finding talent that it really doesn't make any sense. The next man up approach is very real over there. After the Wolves lost to the Pistons, Timberwolves coach Chris Finch would come out and say that there's a lot of guys out there that maybe think that we're a lot better than we are. Maybe it's a sense of entitlement or whatever. Certainly tonight, we got what we deserved with the way that we approach the game. It's not every day that you have a coach of an NBA basketball team calling his team entitled to the media. It's also not every day that you have a player on your roster saying this when asked, is it a mystery to the players why the team is underachieving? To quote the Minnesota big man Naz Reid, not really. We know why. And you know, I'm gonna kind of keep that in-house, but we know why. That's why I said before, I feel like we can change this. We know we can change it. So we just have to buy into things that we know. In my opinion, this was Naz's way of simply not making a bigger mess, because at least from a basketball standpoint, when it comes to the media and the Minnesota Timberwolves, there's not very much that this team hasn't said. I've heard entitled, soft. There was that whole Karl-Anthony Towns and Ant Diet thing. The list definitely goes on. Imagine being a Timberwolves fan. One year you have this young, competitive, talented, and very deep team that you just used to push the Memphis Grizzlies to 6 games in the first round of the playoffs. And then the next thing you know, you've tossed a good majority of your depth and assets out of the window for Rudy Gobert. Every time I look at everything that was included for Rudy Gobert, I just get more and more thankful that the Pelicans were able to acquire CJ for as cheap as they did. You know what? Let's go back and look at everything that left Minnesota so the 3-time DPOY could come to town. In order to acquire Gobert, the Timberwolves sent the Jazz a 2023 unprotected first, a 2025 unprotected first, a 2027 unprotected first, a 2029 top 5 protected firsts, okay, so that's something, a 2026 pick swap, the number 22 pick in the draft, which became Walker Kessler, Malik Beasley, their emotional leader in Patrick Beverley, Vanderbilt, and Balmaro. Yeah, guys, that's a lot. When you trade that much for any player, there are going to be some serious expectations, and those expectations are going to rise when players included in that package start to ball. Guys, rookie big man Walker Kessler is not only outperforming his selection, he's been so good that he's already averaging 7 points and 7 boards in 19 minutes per game, while being one of the best rim protectors in the league, averaging 1.8 blocks per game, which, get this, is actually already more than the 1.3 per game that Rudy Gobert is averaging this season. Inside of 6 feet, players defended by Walker Kessler are shooting 10% worse than usual. With Rudy Gobert, they're shooting 5.8% worse than usual. Imagine trading a Rudy Gobert that's making more money than Jeff Bezos and then getting another Rudy Gobert back. Seriously though, shout out to Jaden McDaniels, who's making opposing players shoot 8.5% worse. You guys know how I feel about Jaden. I seriously think that we'll see this guy on an all-defensive team at some point. There's a reason that they didn't want this 6'9", 6'10" versatile forward included in any package for Gobert. Now, while I have a lot of respect for what Tim Connolly was able to put together in Denver, this Gobert trade kind of reeks of a GM or president who wanted to have their genius felt in their first year. According to Dane Moore, the Timberwolves are committed to their long-term vision with Rudy Gobert and Chris Finch, and he would be shocked if the team made a big change soon. With this Gobert trade, while I was able to talk myself into the upside, I'm usually not a fan of going super win now if you don't have to. There's beauty in the process, and sometimes you just have to trust it. Word to Joel Embiid. With that being said, it really is too early to flat out give up on this team. Anthony Edwards has looked phenomenal, averaging 23.9 points on 46.4%. He's only 21, and he just keeps getting better. Ant really has a great opportunity here to continue to grow as a leader and show what this team is really made of. It kind of sucks that his season is being overlooked, but in future videos, I'll make sure to show Ant some more love. Now look, maybe Finch has lost the locker room and things haven't looked great, but this team also had a slow start to last year before they really got going. People thought that the Pelicans were going to be one of the worst teams in history last year, just based off of their start, but Brandon Ingram basically said, no, that's not happening, and grew right in front of our eyes. It was amazing to watch. Part of me wonders if Cat's injury has impacted the way that the Timberwolves will approach this upcoming trade deadline and upcoming moves period. I will say this, any move going forward has to be made with the clear vision to optimize Anthony Edwards, not just for the now, but also for the future. Ant's what I like to call a ceiling raiser, and only so many of those exist in the NBA. Let me know what you guys think of everything down in the comments below. Clicking the video on the screen right now is a great way to support my channel. I'm GetLikeCOOP, bringing you guys the scoop. Until our next upload.